Hi, welcome back to class, and Module 13 we're going to be focusing on administrative ethics, and this is an area actually that pulls a lot of people into public administration. And what we will be doing is we're going to watch a few videos and there's some readings. Initially I used to have 2 videos for this section, and as time went on they changed the formatting, so you have to log on to different sites to watch them now. So I changed this around a little bit. So I'll work my way down and show you what we have to do first. Administrative ethics actually is an area that pulls a lot of people into public administration because it looks at some severe problems, but it also is a good area to get more multi-disciplinary. So this is one area we're going to look at with the idea of social psychology. So we're going to use Phil Zimbardo actually to look at a real event that happened. So we're going to look at the My Lai massacre in Vietnam, and this is a major turning point in the war. And so what happened in the My Lai was there were photographers who were around to catch some war crimes taking place, or I guess is some unethical actions taking place. There was a massacre of a village, and what happened was the images that were gathered made it back to the United States and really changed a lot of public perception of the war. So you're going to first watch a short documentary from the History Channel. It's on the My Lai massacre, and once we're through with that, you're going to work your way down. There was an interesting thing that took place there. So you had a massacre taking place, but you also had a few soldiers do the right thing and get involved in trying to save people. And so there is a 60 Minutes episode that focused on this. I used to have students watch this. Now you have to log in to get the information. If you do have access to the 60 Minutes, great. If not, I did find an alternative place to get this, and I'll work my way down and show you. But there's a short article attached to that, and again, with the public broadcasting, I have some information on this. This was working this morning. Right now, it seems that there's been some changes going on, so I'm not sure when you log on if you'll have this information. You don't need it, but it's just some extra for you to look at. So what you'll have is I found the documentary I wanted people to watch, and it is in a presentation that took place with 2 of the people who were involved in the documentary. So it's some extra material for you to watch if you're interested. If not, and you just want to see the documentary, it's about 15 minutes of film for it. But what you can do is you can fast forward for the first 5 minutes, and you'd start right around this area here, and it will give you the beginning of the documentary. Because of how it's filmed, it's on 2 different sections. So the end is on the second video, and you just hit play right away, and you'll have more information. If you are really interested in the story, which I usually people get very interested in the story, you can go ahead and click on the YouTube tab and get the full documentary. So you can have all the other videos from this lecture. And if you're really interested in administrative ethics, you can click on the Stockdale Center and have interest and have access to United States Naval Academy school, where they look at this and they study administrative ethics for a course of study. There's also a photo gallery. This is totally optional, but since there were embedded photographers, the photography that they used did do a lot to change perception of the war, and it has some information, some pictures that you can look at. It's 100% up to you if you decide to watch those. Then we have 2 videos you're going to use for the discussion. You're going to look at Phil Zimbardo, who I'm sure you're familiar with as the social psychologist who is known for the Stanford Prison Experiment. But what he's really famous for is, what he's really known for is his looking at situational psychology. So he looks at how the situation affects individuals. And so he has 2 terms he uses. One is the hero effect, and the other one is the Lucifer effect. You're going to watch these 2 videos on him. One is a TED Talk, and you're going to hear him discuss these. And a lot of people get hung up on the idea that Phil Zimbardo studies evil, and that's not a complete picture of what he does. Like I said, he is a situational psychologist. He looks at how a situation affects a person, and he discusses how any person can do something that may be evil, but also they could do something that is good or heroic. And so that's a major body of his work, is looking at hero effects and heroism. You know, he wants to see how situations affect people, and how they can do a better job at what they do and be better people. So you'll watch these, and you'll use these for the discussion. In discussion, you're going to take Zimbardo's ideas and you're going to apply them to My Lai massacre. So there's plenty of discussion on some administrative evil that took place at that point. There's not so much discussion on the hero effect that took place. And so you're going to look at Hugh Thompson. Him and 2 other men actually worked to save people's lives. And I'm not going to explain too much of this now. I want you to discover this. But it is a very interesting story. And they risked their lives to do the right thing, which is important when you're in combat, is to still do the right thing. Like I told you guys before, public administration does a lot of case studies with the military. And that's because of the documentation. In this case, the documentation is even better than most other times. And lastly, we have a Dropbox for the paper. And as you see, the paper is going to be working on the 5 parts you've worked on. It's just going to be a 5-page paper, 5 complete pages. So make sure it is 5 complete pages of text, not 4 pages and 2 sentences. Make it 5 complete pages at least. And you're going to also add a works cited page. This will be APA. However, if someone does it in MLA, I'm not going to really be upset. But in general, for social science classes, we use APA formatting for our papers. You don't need an abstract, and you do not need a title page. I do not want those on the paper. Just have your 5 pages of text and a 6th page of your works cited. So if you have any questions, feel free to get back to me. Otherwise, this week should be pretty self-explanatory. And you have 2 weeks to work on this final paper. So it will be due the last Sunday of the class, going into our finals week. I am also going to put up assignment that is going to be a discussion, and it's going to be optional. And so I'll give you a week to look for an article discussing public administration, and you'll post it to a discussion thread, and your initial post will be worth 9 points. And then if you log on and you read you read some other people's papers and you start a discussion with them, I will give some extra credit points for a discussion. But let's give you guys a week to get an initial post with article related to public administration. It could be anything. So I want you to get creative and take what this class gets into and try to find an article discussing that. Public administration is all over the news now. We have the first year of the Trump presidency, and there's been a lot going on with public administration that you can find an article to discuss, or you can take a prior president or a different administration. So you can look at a different agency or an organization and apply something for public administration to it. But if you go ahead and get an initial post on that, I will have a link for an optional extra credit discussion. All right, well, get a hold of me if any questions, and if not, I'll have a new video up next week. Thank you.